Gracias, gracias. Hola, ¿qué tal?
Thank
Buenos
you.
días.
Hi, good morning. Jaime, Eric, how are you? Here from today. A question for both of you. The meaning of this tournament, its significance. It's still in its early stages. It's been played twice, and both times the U.S. has won. Perhaps it speaks a bit to Mexican football. When Tata Martino lost, it seemed like the Mexican national team was dwindling. How valuable do you see this tournament to be the first ones to win this for Mexico? Well, personally, I see it as a very important tournament. I think it's a great opportunity for the entire team. Like you've said, we're striving for great things. I think what's important here is how united our team is. The coaching staff and the players, we're all very united and we're aware of what's at stake. And again, for me, this kind of tournament is very important. Right. Likewise. Good afternoon or morning. What is it? Good morning. So much traveling. Well, good morning. Yes, this is important. As you know, it's the third edition of this tournament. It's a new tournament in the region for all of us. This is a very important stage. In a few weeks, we'll have a cup that's very important for us. It's because the U.S. has won this cup twice before, and well, we'll have a nice chance first tomorrow to be able to qualify to the final, and then to try to get this trophy. I think we're all excited about that. I know this tournament somewhat eclipses the Copa America, but we're very hopeful to beat Panama tomorrow and then see what lies ahead. Jimmy Eric, Francisco Villalobos, good day. Jimmy, first for you. It's an ironic situation. You don't have to worry about qualifying for Copa America because you've already qualified. You don't have to worry about the World Cup either because you've already qualified. Still, these matches and tournaments serve a purpose, which is to win both of the following tournaments and this one. Now, how does this tournament help you with this plan? So, how does this play into your plan? Your team, physical fitness, mental fitness. So, how do you see that three-step plan that I just laid out? And Eric, there are many Hispanics, many immigrants that pay a lot of money. They work very hard to buy these tickets, and it's very hard for them to make that money. So, what would you say to all of these fans that would come in and see you guys play? I think it's great. Even though we're in the U.S., we're playing as locals. There are many people from our country. To see a full stadium, people making that sacrifice to be there with us, makes me feel very proud. And I try to respond to that by giving my all so that they can go home happy. I personally love to see stadiums that way. Again, even though we're in the US, it's as if we're locals. I love that. And I just say, keep supporting us. We'll always leave it all on the pitch and we'll do the best we can. In the end, I think every match is important for the team, for the players, for the process. Of course, we do have a ticket here because we're local, but it doesn't mean that we don't want to be solid on the pitch. I think we always want to leave every institution, the federation, better. And to create the proper work culture is important. I think there have been good things done in previous processes. There's still room for improvement. And I think that's what we're gearing towards. As we try to do something solid, we try to achieve the right outcomes and results, but we want to do a solid job so that football in Mexico, I mean, just because we'll be playing as locals in the next World Cup, we don't want to be performing well here and then go back to how we were before afterward. We want to set the right foundation and do the right thing on an international scale. Of course, I say this as the head coach and for the federation. TVN. Good day. Good day, Coach Lozano. And also to Eric. Coach, how does the game plan change as you face Panama after having beat them in the Gold Cup. Was it a fair result? They did play hard, but what do you expect from the Panamanian team tomorrow? Are you from Panama? Yes, from Panama. Perfect. Well, what's different? Every match is different. At that point, we both had a bit longer with our teams, and the motivation and the excitement is at its utmost when you have a final where there's everything to win. And now it's a semifinal with a lot of time between the last time we were focused and now. I've said this, and the numbers show that you are one of the fastest growing teams in the region. And yes, it has to do with the players, but also with your coaching staff. In my last prep match before the Olympics, I think we won 3 or 4-0. But now it's a totally different team, even though they have the same players. So that's what time gives you. The ability to create a work culture, understanding, and strengthen those bonds that are so important in a national team because you have such little time to work with. So this is a semifinal. Every national team were 2 matches away from lifting the cup, and Panama clearly understands what they have to do on the pitch. I think they understand that much better than most. And we've also been working over the past several months in order to get to this semifinal in the best possible conditions. So is it different? It is. Still, I think both teams, I won't say coaches, but both teams will give a very good version of themselves and try to win. Thank you. Good day. Jaime, Erick. First, Jaime, Luis Ángel Malagón's performance at Azteca versus Honduras. Did that influence you to determine who would be the starting goalkeeper in this opportunity, be, or will Memo Ochoa's injury play a role? And Erick, how have you felt about Jaime in this process? Because he's someone who's gotten a start and he's earned his role. Now, recently, there have been players that have spoken about previous processes and perhaps felt somewhat uncomfortable with certain situations in the coaching staff. So, how have you all felt about Jaime? I think the group is very united. Ever since this coaching staff arrived, I think the group feels very good and healthy. Again, it's a united team. The environment has changed completely. We saw that from the previous tournament to the Gold Cup. I think you noticed the difference there. So personally, I liked the change. I think we all came together very well. We understood each other very well. That's what's important. So I think all of my teammates and the coaching staff were all very pleased and excited, and we know we all share the same goal. So that's what's important so that the work we do results in the benefit of all of us and we can follow along the process together. So as for Malagón, it didn't influence me because I know what he's capable of. He's a goalkeeper that has shown me, among the 2 or 3 that I've been able to see during the Olympic process, who's grown the most. He's definitely one of them. He was 4th or 5th in that Olympic process, and then he went to the top. We reinforced that with Memo. He ended up being the second, but Malagón has no ceiling. I've seen him grow. He's demonstrated that. I believe he clearly understands what he has to do, so I wasn't surprised. I know, and with my eyes closed, when Malagón is at playing as a goalkeeper, he knows what to do. He's demonstrated that with his team. He knows what it means to be a champion. He's a key part of his team, and they'll continue to fight to do great things, and that's thanks to him in part. So I know him well. He knows me well, and when Malagón has the chance to once again play with the national team, I'm sure he'll do a great job. Jimmy, Jesús Padilla, Furia Deportiva, Radio. Will hierarchy be honored with regards to Memo, who's now back and healthy? Will you be honoring hierarchy in that sense? I don't see it as honoring hierarchy because there are players that give you much more than just a starting role. That's how I see it. I have to be with them all the time, training with them in the locker room, in the hotel. And it's not just about what they have done, but what they continue to do and will do. So we want them to be doing well. We were talking about this in the meeting we had yesterday. If they're here, regardless of the current situation of the club, if they're here, for me, that's because they're doing pretty well and they can give the national team a lot. So Memo, Malagon, Julio, and those who are on the list who aren't here, I think we have only a few days, but we have a chance to check them out and make a decision. And whoever of the three we select, I'm sure they'll do very well. Will it be difficult to decide who will be the nine for this match? Always. Of course, there's sometimes three. Raul hasn't participated as much. His recovery took a little longer, but today we have two, and in my opinion, they're exceptional. Alejandro Bañanos, Jimmy, good day. What was done in Gold Cup lost credibility because Canada and the US didn't have their stellar team that paved the way a little bit for you guys. We know how that ended up in your favor. Jaime, this tournament, do you see that as that chance to gain credibility that your project needs in order to gear up for Copa America for 2026? Is this that strike of credibility and authority that you need for your project, for your coaching staff? As I've said throughout the Gold Cup, I take it one step at a time, one point of focus to the other. I know these aren't friendlies. These are meant for preparation. You have to win. You have to prove certain things, and sometimes people don't really understand that. You have to be ready for certain situations. But look, honestly, we want to win this cup. More than just trying to work for a future that's 2 years out, we're working on the foundations. We always want right outcomes. Now, it's true. You can't say that certain things weren't done right. There were certain things that we should improve on based on what we've done in recent tournaments. But yes, I want to keep improving, to have the team work and play better and better, to be more stable, to not have those inconsistent performances, doing well with top teams and then not as well with others. We want to keep that with our team, with our style. We want credibility and we want our players to give their all for their country. Again, many people will be here supporting us, not only from the US. I know people will be coming from Mexico and other parts of the world to see their national team, to cheer them on, and to see a good performance. So, for all of them, for us, especially for the players who make that great effort to be here, of course, we have the privilege of being here, but I do hope that tomorrow they perform greatly and then again on Sunday. Good day, Jaime, Eric, Felipe, Venezuela, Los Angeles. Jaime, do you still think that Panama has been the most surprising team for you with their growth in the CONCACAF region? They were in the Gold Cup final and now they're in semifinals here. And same question for you, Eric. Has Panama been the team that's progressed the most in the region? Yes, personally, like the coach said, I think they've grown a lot. They have very good players. I've been able to play against, well, here and in my club, against players that are part of the Panamanian national team. And I'm surprised by how good they are. They have great characteristics. But I still think it'll depend on what we do. That'll be the most important factor. But they have had significant growth. Still, it'll depend on how we do tomorrow. Hi, Felipe. No doubt. Now, going to semifinals, it's like what we saw at Gold Cup. It's related. I think that the four national teams that are here are a bit above the rest, but Panama, the other opponent, Jamaica, They have many players in the best league of the world. So that's very helpful. It's not just the physical aspect of the teams, it's also the organization. So when it's more globalized, they're better trained, they're in better leagues, and that leads to them competing better. So yes, these two national teams, but perhaps Panama just a little bit more given the process they've been following. Jaime, good day. Carlos Rodrigo Hernandez, Fox Sports. Jaime, for this match, considering how important it is, will you be using more experienced players or those who are playing well? Quiñones, Erick, Arteaga, Gallardo, who's playing as winger, or Malagón as goalkeeper. Many things. You have to see many things as a coach. For me, they're all playing well. But then you also have to see their relationships on the pitch. You have to see their hours of play, hours of travel. You have to consider many things. And sometimes we overcomplicate things as coaches. Before, perhaps things were much easier. But there are many things to consider. All 23 could be there. They're going to do great. We'll try to choose the 11 that we think would be most appropriate for this occasion. And it is difficult. Just like you always leave people out when you have a list, imagine for a starting lineup. Fortunately, we are fortunate to have the chance of having much more than 11 that are playing well and that can represent their team very well. So we always want to make the best decision with the goal of helping the national team. Good day, Jaime. Now, specifically, with regards to the center forward and the goalkeeper, beyond what you've already said in your in response to Carlos Rodrigo, what will you go off of specifically? You've mentioned hierarchy, experience. What will you base yourself on specifically in making your decision to choose your center forward and your goalkeeper? Well, my basis, and this has really happened to me after the Olympics, you see how the players play with their clubs. You foresee a scenario, and it depends on what you want to do and what the opponent is going to do. And there are times, and it usually is the case, where they come in and one or two positions because you see someone playing very well, perhaps someone that you weren't considering as much before, or you just decide that it's the best thing to do. You make a change. So what will I go off of? Well, it'll be what we've been doing so far throughout this process. Make sure that the player is doing well physically and mentally. That's important. You might bring him in, think he's doing fine, and then you see that's not the case. So especially these two things. We've analyzed previous matches, the last match against Panama as well. We'll try to draw the best conclusions in order to make the right decision. Hi, Jaime. Good afternoon. When you arrived last summer, you talked about a debt, an ambition in Mexican football is to respect processes, to not make evaluations based on whether you win Nations League or Gold Cup or Copa America, which will be played this year. That's what I understand your ambition was. Now, specifically, Jaime, you've talked to Juan Carlos Rodriguez, the commissioner, to get his backing, to make sure that your position is sure. Is that the case? And secondly, as it were, Pandora's box was opened with Mexican football with two leading teams and one that's no longer here. So what are your views based on the transparency of previous processes? Wow, so many questions. Now just quickly remind me what your first question was. All right, their backing. Well, there's backing, there's trust. If I didn't have their backing and trust, I wouldn't be here today. We know that in universal football, it really depends on results in order for a certain process to continue. That's what I was referring to with Panama and other teams. So that has to do with immediate results. I would love it if we thought that way. I'm here today, but I'd love it if before that were the case and that it continued to be the case afterward, because I'm more convinced day in, day out, not just because I'm here, but you grow, you see other teams. And I believe that if you choose based on trust and you make the right decision and you allow a process to play out over time, in the end, you'll get very good results. So that's one thing. I know that based on everything we create in the country, that gives results. That's how it is. And yes, I have heard that Pandora's box has been opened, like you said. And look, everyone is free to communicate what they wish. Everyone has their own truth, their own way of viewing their situation and life. I only have good things to say about Gerardo Martinez. He treated me wonderfully. Same goes to my coaching staff. I was very close to him. He worked, and I'm sure that the results, us, him, we would have all wanted different results, but that's football. And I think that the excitement and moments are very important when it comes to this. And in the past, vis-a-vis the World Cup, the moment wasn't the best. So in summary, you're never going to hear me say anything bad about Gerardo because he was always impeccable in the way he treated me. Good day, Roberto Rivera for Panama. Eric was talking about the Panamanian midfield, talking about how well they play. What do you take away from Panamanian football? They're players. How do you think the national team is going about that? The question is for both of you. Well, personally, I've played against them. Sure. I know they're great players. I think they have great traits. And personally, whether I'm playing or not, I'll be helping my teammates, but I'll have to be paying close attention to their abilities because I know they're very shrewd, they're experienced. And personally, again, I think they're great players, and we just have to work hard to beat them out on one and beyond. So you want me to know? You want me to tell you who the best player is in Panama? I have it right here. I know. Look, we faced off against the Pan American Games in Lima. He was 18, 19 years old, very young, and you could still tell. 18 years old, he was the youngest player in that generation. We faced off in that first match 0-0. You could tell it was Carrasquilla. You could tell what he was going to do. I think he's improved greatly in Houston. He's been there for 3 or 4 years, is it? His third year? Same thing. He's really evolved because he has to, because he's playing in a very good league, because he feels comfortable. And I think that coaches make players feel comfortable to bring out the best traits in them. And Thomas does that with Carrasquilla. So they're all very good. Carrasquilla has that extra touch. He knows how to get a player off of him, how to drag the ball, mid-range shots. They're all good. But I think Carrasquilla, he's just a bit different from the rest.